You'll talk first.
Thank you for coming to watch Dr. Smith's video today. We encourage you to hit the subscribe button and the alert button. That way you can get notifications when he uploads a new video. Thank you for coming today.
So we hope you take the time to hear and think about, and if you have a book, read in the book about the concept and the topics that we talk about. They have a lasting effect. The intent is not necessarily to treat pain, but to make permanent, long-term correction with your whole family and your friends.
Thank you. Make sure you subscribe and hit the alert button. Have a good day.
Have a good day. I know that the topic of concerning the relationship between the feet and the head is not a very exciting topic, but I'm going to make it exciting for you because it's critical to have a basic appreciation for the relationship between the feet and the head. I'm nervous inside. That's better. Okay. So, any questions before I start?
Have you ever heard of foot zonology?
Had
People-
nothing to do with foot zone.
Nothing with that. Okay. I was just curious.
Did you zone it?
My sister does, and I have a friend that does.
I've had my feet zoned before.
Foot zoning is a technique that has value on a very fine energy level. What we're talking about today is, in my opinion, closer to the middle of the keyboard on the piano. It's like it affects more things and can be used for a lot more value and benefit. So we're going to start at the foot. This will be a review in part for some of you. When God designed the foot, He gave us a back foot and a front foot in one unit. When you walk, the back foot hits first. It's designed to roll. The next thing that should touch are the outer two toes. The outer two toes are a continuation of the back foot. When a normal gait cycle, you take the step and the tibia goes past vertical and now is leaning forward. The weight shifts from the back foot through the ankle to the front foot. And you push off with the front foot. There are a lot of bones in the foot. Each joint in the foot is designed by God to fit into the adjacent joint snugly and smoothly, so all joints belong in their spot. So we can't take one bone out and put it any other place in the body. When the baby is born, the baby has about 300 bones. Did you know that? As the baby grows and becomes full size, those bones grow together. In other words, the end of the tibia and the shaft of the tibia and the other end of the tibia are separate bones. So the tibia makes up 3. The femur makes up 3. The arms make up, all the long bones have multiple parts, and then they join together.
Is that the growth plate that they talk about that's between those? And
That's
then the growth
exactly
plate
right.
goes away and they fuse together.
That's exactly right. The growth plate should have motion, and it should have proper alignment. I have a young man right now that I'm seeing who has a knee problem. The knee problem has created a misalignment in his heel. So the heel bone is not adhering to proper position and proper alignment for, he's 14. He has 4 years to get the knee back or the foot won't be straight. Now, when we look at the above the foot into the ankle joint, you can see that solid level joint should be horizontal. Horizontal means level. So if we put that on that joint, it should be, the bubble should be right in the middle. Now, if I were a podiatrist and they treated feet for a limb, I would take an x-ray of this part of the leg to see the level of that joint. Now, when people have joint misalignment down low, they wear their shoes out differently. Oftentimes, people would come with a child that says, my kid wears his shoes out all the time. Well, if the shoe is wearing out, it's proof that the body's crooked. And if you have your shoe that's wearing or rolling crooked, you need to pay attention to that and do some exercises to align the ankle and the foot. We're going to go in the other room in a few minutes, and you think you can take that with us?
Is that, where you use that golf ball? Is that what you're talking about, exercises?
When you use a golf ball under the foot, the purpose is to aid in recreating the motion in this joint right there, which is between the front foot and the back foot. They get stuck together. Mm-hmm. I saw a fellow this afternoon who has been spending a lot of time leaning forward. So when you lean forward, the front foot, the forefoot, gets tired and elongates and drops down. So if we talk about problems in the feet, that's pronation. That elongates the tendons that attach back here. That they become sore when they're stretched. That's called plantar fasciitis. And when they stretch for a long, long time and they pull on the attachment, that little point, they all attach back there. They pull on that and the body adapts and grows more bone. It becomes longer. Now you have a heel spur. It's very tender, can be very sharp. So those are common problems. And when the body lays forward for a long time, the foot goes down. When you take a step, the foot turns, you form bunions. And sometimes you'll get a hammer toe, which the toe turns like that. That's from leaning too far forward. Now, podiatrists will place an orthotic. Chiropractors do that too. Place an orthotic under the foot in the shoe. That buys time. That doesn't fix the problem. It buys time to create a change in the upper body to get the upper body back and within balance. Now, if we take a close look at the foot, you'll notice that the weight of the tibia, the weight of the whole body, is in the back 1/3 of the foot. When you stand, that's where the weight should be. It's very common for people to stand leaning forward. So it creates a problem here and all this stuff we talked about, and the foot breaks down.
So what do they call flat feet? Plantar fasciitis?
A flat foot would be pronation.
The plantar fasciitis comes in when the fascia that's in there actually gets inflamed and starts
Okay.
The
burning.
tendons that hold the muscles to the bones get
Stretched.
stretched and get inflammation. Now, one of the most common triggers for what we talked about is what's called a head forward posture. The weight of the head is about 12 pounds. The effect on the body when the head goes forward increases exponentially with the distance forward. So when you stand or sit with the head forward, it has a negative effect of that much weight going forward, and that breaks the feet down. Now, when you're out and about and you see people shopping, and they're on the cart and they're leaning forward, they have a walker and they're leaning forward, and they have head forward posture, you can bet all the money you have that they have foot problems, because that's where it starts. So we have that relationship.
So if you injure your foot, can you have a neck issue?
Bingo.
What about someone who has flat feet, just from the get-go?
From the get-go,
Is there any, well, my husband, his are flat as flat can be.
you see like this.
Yeah.
So he has ankle problem.
He doesn't, his problem with the little bones in his feet sometimes,
Yeah,
yeah,
the little bones, all these little bones.
yeah,
Yes, because why? Because the joints are not aligned properly.
right.
So what would benefit him? Mobilization with the golf ball, vibration, the massage, and go back up to the head and get the head back more centered.
Okay.
Also, he could benefit from ankle mobility and alignment. Okay. We're going to go in the other room and I'm going to show you an exercise you can do, he can do. You lay on your back on a bed with the leg supported, the heel on the edge of the bed. So the heel has free motion. And then you move that joint straight up and straight down. Now, there are other things that cause this problem to be worse. And that's when the head, instead of being in the center, we would look at that bubble right there. It would be centered. If the head goes off to the right, even a little bit, and forward a little bit, when you take a step and you have a 12-pound head that's forward and right, you'll always automatically, without you ever even thinking about it, turn your foot out to catch shoe. Because when it's straight, it can't catch you as well as when the ball is bowling ball, the way the head is falling that way, so the foot will turn out automatically. Now, when that happens, that starts a chain reaction that goes upward. It affects all the bone in the feet. It affects the ankle. It affects the knee. What do you think it does to the hips? If that foot is turned out, the knee is bent in, then that side of the pelvis will be lower. The pubis would be in the front, will turn a little bit. The spine will then go off that way more. It's already over there. But the body will try to bring the head back. So you get a turn in the spine, which affects the rib cage. It affects the chest, the shoulders, the neck, and ultimately the head. So you can have a cranial misalignment caused by a foot weakness or problem or posture going forward. Now you asked the question about what about the head? If you have an injury and you bump the head and spring the neck or the shoulders over, then the chain reaction goes down the other way. There are two laws, Burns and Davis. Those are laws that say that when you have any kind of a distortion, the body compensates the best it can to deal with the changes that are made. But those changes create a speed up, an acceleration of the degeneration in the joints. And when you have that kind of a problem of imbalance, whether it's from the top down or the bottom up, the muscles demand more energy because they're working harder. Now, let's suppose you're on a 2,000 calorie diet, you only got so much power, nourishment, and the body spends it on muscles. Then, if you have a problem with an organ like the stomach, the colon, the lung, the brain, those organs don't have enough energy to heal because you spend it on some other tissue. Does that make sense? Do you have any questions?
Wished I would have known it when I was 30.
I was just thinking that.
Okay, so
Or 20, or 40.
it's very common that people don't learn about this stuff early. You ask about what if they have a problem from the get-go. A couple of weeks ago, I checked a young man who came in, his major symptom was up here. When I was checking him holistically, globally, I walked down the hall, they checked his leg and lower back. They said, "My goodness, what happened to your leg and lower back?" His mom said, "Well, at birth, he had a significant problem with his feet, probably because of malposition in that little crowded spot. But he also had a distortion of the head. And the pediatrician said, we'll work on the head. They didn't do anything about the lower part. So as he grew, he grew crooked. So when I checked his legs with this, I lined up the femur and the tibia. Do you see how the alignment was? His left leg was straight, like it should be. His right leg was bent inward. That creates abnormal wear and tear. Okay, he's 17. There's maybe a year or two to get that back to acceptable alignment, or he's going to have to deal with it as an adult, which means it's going to change more slowly. Okay, now, well, I have this in my hand. I want to talk about the alignment of the feet. They should be, when you stand up, the feet should have a V. The heels would be about 5 inches apart. The toes would be about 6 inches apart. give or take a little bit. The V would be about 12 degrees. So if you just stand up and look at your feet, they should be about like that, slightly out. If one is turned out more, it's probably because the weight of the head is off to that side. It could be because of a problem in the pelvis that's created some misalignment down here. It could be either one or both. So, what if it's not? What if you, this is a good time to check. When it snows and you walk in the fresh snow, stop and turn around and look at your fence. Okay, some people, you go, okay, are they going that way or are they going that way? And you can bet if they're going both ways, they're pivoting every time they take a step. The pivot occurs in the foot, ankle, and knee, and hip, and all the way up to the top.
Can I ask a question?
Yes,
Because you're talking about kind of the natural turnout of the foot.
exactly.
When you do things like squats or lunges or plies, exercising,
Yes.
the standard recommendation is that when you have your feet wherever they are, the knee should go out over the second toe. You agree with that? Fitting the line?
What I agree with is if you turn your feet out or in, the knee should parallel the foot. For example,
But I can go forward and go over the big toe or the second toe or the little toe. It should just cover the foot entirely.
exactly, the second toe. That's right. But and when you're working on the T-zone, I recommend you work with ideal. I recommend that you work out a little bit. I recommend you work in a little bit. I recommend you bend the knees and do slow circles a little bit. I recommend you do a cone with the head and the body straight, and the hinge be the ankle. So you're doing this to increase the normal acceptable motion capacity of the joint. You also do therapy to all the joints in the feet for mobilization. So if your husband has that kind of problem, if he stands on the T-zone and makes certain that the weight is on the back third of the foot, no weight on the front toes, none on the back, and then do what you just said, do the circles, do them with toes out, toes in, straight,
Do the circles with all three.
circles, and go both ways. I recommend about at least 3 times one way and 3 times the
So
other.
you're rotating from the ankle, is that what you're saying?
The ankle is
Like
the hand.
this, right? Where that's where the
Exactly.
action is taking place.
If you should do it slow, you will feel on the cushion that you're standing on, you will feel in your foot the weight on the outside of this foot, inside of this foot. And we go back, it's on the heels. You go this side, the weight's here and here. You go forward. When you're doing the circles, you can go forward. So the weight shifts all the way around. You feel that change in the foot. Now, you say, I wish I had known this when I was younger. Here's the good news. whenever you do repetitive microtherapy, that's what we're talking about. You're not fixing the old bad tissue. The old bad tissue, we write off. It's going to go away. It's going to be replaced with new tissue. The tissue is always replacing. The new tissue can be equally as bad or worse than the old tissue if you haven't changed
Right, if you do the same thing.
a pattern. So with your husband, if somebody that started out as a child, and I see them all the time. I watch kids in church, I watch little kids walk down the aisle and they have major problems. It's probably coming from their head, too much head for a posture. And then they can be helped. But the younger you are, the more rapidly the tissue turns over. Even at your age, old senior citizens, on my age, old senior citizens get new tissue every night, every day. You get more at night than you do in the day. And why is that? Because in the day, your body focuses on stuff, and not just on repair and healing, regeneration, remodeling. And if you do the therapies we talk about near bedtime, then you put everything back as good as you can get it for that day and get it relaxed, motion, relaxed, and alignment. You want those three things as good as you can get them. Then during the night you improve some. Okay, so let's stop and we'll go in the other room. I want you to experiment with what I'm teaching you as a therapy to help additionally from the bottom up. Now, I think both of you are probably doing sacral slide and breathing. When that happens, you're aligning the whole spinal column and the head as much as you can get it at that point in time. What we're going to show you now is how to enhance the value of rehabilitation of that joint right there. On your bed. You want me to repeat that, Deborah?
Feet hanging off the bottom.
You want the feet hanging off the bottom. Now, the best time to do this is when you're done. You're not going to walk around anymore. Okay?
Yeah.
If you're done in bed, you can turn sideways on your bed, or if you don't want to do that, you can put a pillow underneath here. We want the heels with no weight.
Okay.
That's the idea. Now, we're going to start by putting both feet straight up. Not out, not in, but straight up. If you have a knee that's bent a lot, you can put a book between the knee to help change it back toward straight. We then do a very slow foot flutter. Now, if we talk about the full range of motion, the distance between here all the way down here, the most value occurs at the end 20%. So the trip across the middle doesn't do a lot of good, but at the end it does a lot of good. Okay? Now, I'd like you to do that slowly. Count to 10 using this foot. And I'd like you to come feel what's going on. Make sure touch you. So feel here and here and the low back. Feel what's going
Oh,
on.
what's doing when she did it slowly?
What do you feel?
Just, it's pulling all through there.
Yes. Go up on her thighs. Now slide your hand under her pelvis and low back.
Okay,
One side.
all right.
Just slide in them. Can you feel the motion in your back?
Can I?
Yes.
Yeah. It pulls all the way up and,
She's focused on her feet.
yeah,
You
she's
feel,
thinking about her feet.
think about your ribs. This will actually help align the ribs.
Okay.
Now, I sent another person to do this today, and when he did it, it went like this. It turned in. If that's the case, then I recommend you get a towel and put the towel around the bottom of the foot. And hold on to the end of the towel with the hand and guide the foot so the foot is straight. Don't let the foot turn. Okay?
And you if you think you have a foot that turns out, which I do, you would put a foot between your knees while you did this?
To help straighten the stuff. So again, when we check the femur and the tibia, we want them to be straight. And yours right now are off.
Yeah, I know.
Not very much. This one more.
That one's
This one's
more straight, or
more crooked.
this one's more crooked?
This one's 5 and this one's 3.
Oh, okay, that makes sense to me then.
So, see how foot's turned out?
Mhm.
Aim them straight up. Then just bring in the book. Oh, you can feel the legs.
Okay.
Bring them together. Now count to 10. 1.
So where am I feeling? Oh, just any.
Any part of
Yeah.
the leg, around your knee, up on the thigh.
Okay.
You feel the tissue that's sliding and gliding.
Mm-hmm. I can't feel it there.
Maybe something
On the top, can you feel it on the top? No?
It's moving fine. Put your hand right there. Just gently.
Okay, I can feel
Yeah, now put your hand right under, right there.
it. Okay.
Yeah, right on the top of your sacrum and the lumbar. Can you feel your ribs move? Feel up here.
Ribs. Not as much as I feel the other stuff, but maybe I'm not just, you know. Oh, there we go.
You could feel them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now, again, the most value is at the end of the motion. And you want to do it slow. Repetitive microtherapy.
Okay.
Now, if you have a major knee problem, you can also do it like you do when you're doing sacral slide. Separate your feet and turn them in slightly. Do the same thing. So technically you could do all 3 positions.
When you're done.
But if you have pain, come back a bit. Stay out of pain.
All right.
Okay.
Will it
So the
help
question about-
80-year-old knees?
Yeah, the question was asked, can you change an 80-year-old knee? And my answer is, if there's life in the body, the body's getting new tissue every day.
Okay.
Not at the same speed as a 5-year-old or a 20-year-old, but yes.
Okay.
Old men who cut themselves heal.
True.
And if you heal it on the outside, you heal on the inside.
I love that.
But a lot of problems with old people, when I said that's it in the room, is they waste energy with bad posture. So if they have a new posture like that, then they don't have as much to fix other stuff.
Gotcha.
Okay, one concept is important to keep in mind. The body has different compartments. The head, think of it as a compartment. The rib cage, another one. The pelvis, another one. We can think of the foot as another unit. It's when the compartments are aligned properly and moving properly, they function properly inside. If they're distorted, they don't. So when you have a male or female who has a distorted pelvis, now you have problems in that unit. Bowels, bladder, male and female reproductive tissue doesn't work like it should. Same with the foot. If it's not like it should be, it doesn't work like it should. Same with the head. And they one affects the other. So it's important to, again, look at the whole body globally, not just the area of symptom. Would one of you like to volunteer to be a reader?
Okay. Each of the 22 bones in the head and 26 bones in each foot is designed to fit together with each adjacent bone and move within a prescribed range of motion. True.
True.
When weighed on bilateral scales, each foot should be within 5 to 6% of 1/2 the total weight of the body.
True. So if I had a scale, I used to have one that weighed each foot separately, and the front foot and the back foot separately. They need to be within about 5% to be symmetrical. I'll tell you a quick true story about a bad case. I had a lady who had a car accident, and she had a seatbelt on, and she bent forward over the seatbelt and created fracture with a couple of vertebrae. So at the hospital, they cut her open from the front, went in and lifted those 2 bones that were crushed up and put little spacers on them and screws to hold them up. And she's laying in the hospital, she said, my hip really hurts. So they gave her pain pills, and she suffered. And when they let her out of the hospital, I had seen her, and I said, on the way home, stop by the office, I want to check you. She came by, and she's limping because of the pain, leaned forward, and said, I want to weigh you separately, each foot separately. She weighed more than 55 pounds heavier than her foot. So I thought, that's bad. Let's take you in and take a picture of the pelvis and hips and see what's going on down here. Well, in the accident, she was sitting, and she hit her knee on the dashboard, and as she slid forward, it snapped off the femur head. So the top of the leg had broken off, and in her hip, that's why she had hip pain. That's why when she said she had to have the weight on the other side. So I said, Joyce, you need to go back to the hospital. I'm going to call Dr. Mitchell and tell him to finish the job. She went back to the hospital, they took her in the ER to cut her open, and her hip was, if you can imagine, very infected. All the tissue was bad. So he cleaned it up the best he could and replaced it with a new hip. They kept her there for a while and then sent her to a intensive care type facility for a month or so. Then she went to a rest home where they could take care of her. And within about 5 months, she died from the unintended injury in the hip. It couldn't have died because it was too bad, broken.
That's
Could
horrible.
have been fixed the day they fixed this up here. That's again why you look at the whole body and check everything. Okay?
And don't just cover the pain with a painkiller.
Yeah, for sure.
While standing in a neutral balanced posture, the hind foot should weigh more than the forefoot. True.
Why is that?
Because you said so.
Because that's where the tibia goes into the foot.
Because it's weighing on it, yeah.
It's not in the middle of the foot.
Right. Excess upper body weight on the forefoot will eventually cause fatigue and start a chain reaction of breakdown, progressing upward through the ankle, knee, hip, low back, rib cage, neck, and ultimately distort the cranium. True. Orthotics may serve as a temporary crutch, aiding in foot alignment while the general balancing of the upper body is achieved.
True.
True.
Now, podiatrists often, even chiropractors, I did it in my office, also we put an orthotic in the shoe to help hold the foot in a better position. We never correct the foot until we get the posture neutral. The primary problem with the posture is head forward.
Head forward posture creates a direct, immediate assault on the brain, spinal cord, neck, upper thoracic spine, lumbar spine, pelvis, knees, and feet. True.
You can underline the words direct, immediate assault.
The energy saved from having a balanced, neutral posture allows the body to repair, remodel, and regenerate organs, glands, and tissues with greater purpose and function rather than wasting it on muscles while trying to maintain an imbalanced structure. True.
Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
So people who are imbalanced often complain of being tired. They're tired. And it's because they are like a stupid kid. They've got $20 and went to the mall and blew it. They spent it all on stuff that doesn't count as important.
Right. Purchasing shoes should always be done with great care, ensuring the length, width, and support are appropriate for the purpose. I'm sure that's true. Does that mean we can't ever buy the cute ones anymore?
You can buy the cute ones.
Just don't wear 'em.
If you're gonna dress up and go to church and sit down, get up and come home, take off your shoes. That's been killing you. And you're willing to pay that price, go for it.
But on a normal daily basis, work and everything, we should make sure that we really have good shoes to do all that, right? Yes?
I'm just having flashbacks back to when I was about 16 and I started working for him in his clinic. And he looked at my shoes and he gave me some money and said, go buy 3 pairs of good shoes. So I did. They were cute. He said, no, go back and get good shoes. So I try to find the balance between cute and structurally sound.
I understand.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
Don't try to do both. If you want to buy cute shoes, buy cute shoes. But don't buy them and go for a hike.
Right.
If you're going to be a hiker, buy a hiking shoe, a good, expensive.
Okay. When getting up from sitting or lying, it is worth the time to get all the way up and balanced before engaging in forward motion.
This last couple of months, I've seen a few people, older people, who got up in the night to go to the bathroom, didn't get all the way up, and before they got there, they're on the head. They come all the way up. When you get all the way up, where should the weight be? On the back. How do you know if it's back there? You can weigh your toes, your big toes. Then you know you're all the way up.
Mm-hmm. Changing shoes 1 to 2 times per day is a good practice as it gives the body a variety of patterns to adjust to.
True.
Oh.
So go buy, no, different shoes. It doesn't pay to have exactly the same style and wear a new pair or old pair. They need to be different styles. I have a lady right now who comes to see me who has very bad feet. They're getting better and better. Well, when she can, she'll walk like this. Slam, 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 slam. Both feet were way out. Now they're coming in, they're getting up. She's getting new orthotics and new shoes every few months because her body is now changing to better alignment.
3 to 5 minutes on the whole body vibration is excellent therapy to reduce faulty biomechanics from feet to head. True.
So reduce faulty biomechanics. When do you get faulty biomechanics?
The second we start walking wrong.
When you start doing stuff, we lean forward, we turn, we twist. Debbie just got off an airplane yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah. So whenever people go on an airplane ride, I know the answer. I'm like an attorney. I know the answer before I ask it. How was your flight? Oh man, the seats are killers. I say they make airplane seats in Colorado Springs, and I say they were designed by chiropractors who need more
We
business.
need more business. That's funny. Oh, that's great.
So you can modify any chair. You can't modify any shoe. There are only certain things you can do with a shoe. They need to be wide enough for your foot, long enough for your foot, and check how your posture is when you're just standing.
And it should be weight in the heels when you're just standing.
When you just stand, it's more comfortable with the weight on the heels.
Mhm.
Now, I've been doing this on my home for quite a while. When I first started, I used my moccasins. I like to have my regular feet touching the floor. And as I've done more and more, Audrey would say to me, and Deborah would say to me,
Stand up.
stand up, because I'm leaning forward working and I don't get all the way up. And one day Audrey, a few months ago, said, I'm going to buy you a new pair of shoes.
She saw mine.
Yeah. So she went online and used my credit card. And bought me a $150 pair of Birkenstock.
Oh.
And I put them on and said, buy me another pair. I want these.
They were that great.
So
Oh,
you
they
have
did.
the shoes like that, and then you have the slippers like
The
me.
slippers like
Yeah.
that.
So those are Birkenstocks too.
Yes.
Yeah.
I had another experience I'll share with you. I had a class I was given one time in Colorado Springs, and one of my patients brought his dad, who was visiting from Texas. And at the end of the class, he said, I have a pain in my foot and ankle that's been there for 20 years. I've done everything I can to fix it, and would you mind checking it? So at the end of the class, I said, sure, let me check it. So I checked his alignment. He had misaligned bones in his feet. The ankle was crooked. I did a few things and told him a couple of things to do. I said, try that. See if that helps you. About 2 weeks later, he called back and said, I've had no pain since that night. The pain is gone. I said, I want to see you for more stuff. So he came in and I did some other things, and then I went back to Texas. About 2 weeks later, I got a box of mail from him, from San Antonio Shoe Company, SAS.
Oh, yeah.
I said, that's got to be the ugliest shoe I've ever received. It did.
It was ugly.
It was ugly. I put it on and said, I don't care if it's ugly. It feels so good. So that's a brand I also recommend.
SAS.
And if you go shopping, you go to look at the SAS and you go look at the price tag and you go, whoa, but it's worth it.
They even make cute sandals.
Thank you for coming today. Thank you for being model.